I don't know why AOC, who's accomplished nothing, who hasn't lifted a finger on behalf of this country, who is a media drama birthing person, who is as dumb as they come. I don't know why the media keep promoting her, the phony comics keep promoting her as the face and the voice of the country, if not the Democrat Party. And so she's on there with a late night show with Stephen Colbert not long ago. And Colbert, of course, as we'll get to in a moment, the Colbert Nine, we have a U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C. who has decided not to prosecute them, despite the fact that the chief of the Capitol Hill Police laid out the entire case and is very upset that they're not being prosecuted for reasons I'll get to in a moment. But there she is on with Stephen Colbert, AOC. We've asked AOC to come on all these shows that I do. This one, my Fox show, my radio show. Her answer is always silence. For somebody who has a big mouth and never shuts it, it's amazing. Silence. Go.
The Supreme Court has engaged in the overreaching of its authority in denying the human and civil rights of any pregnant person or person that could become pregnant in the United States of America.
Any pregnant person? Here we go again. We're fighting for women's rights, and pregnant persons, wait a minute. Folks, I don't care if you have what I call a lopectomy. You know what a lopectomy is, Mr. Producer? It's my pedestrian term to explain a medical process. A lopectomy or an I don't know that I can say addictomy, but I did. So that doesn't change your chromosomes. So only a woman, you know, the thing here is this. They believe certain things, or they want to believe certain things, as preposterous as they may be. And then they insist that you identify with what they believe. Not the science, not the reality, not the facts. You must accept what they believe as science. You must accept what they believe as fact. Okay? No, you don't. We're not talking about persons getting pregnant. We're talking about women getting pregnant. Right? People have ovaries. It's that simple. It's that simple. Why do we have to debate this and go through this? Because these people are insane. And they control the biggest political party in the country. Soon not to be, but nonetheless it is. Most of America isn't buying this. But most of the media are. Go.
They have engaged in overreach, and it is the responsibility of the president and Congress to put the Supreme Court in check because
so the Supreme Court has engaged in overreach by saying we don't have power. Joe Biden, the other day, talked about a national emergency when it comes to the climate, and that he is going to take steps under the authority of a national emergency to destroy our energy system and to impose windmills and solar panels on the country as if that's going to do anything. The whole country of Sri Lanka has collapsed. It's bankrupt. It has no money. Its currency is worthless. It has no fuel. It's like 90% alternative clean energy. They have no energy. The people can't get to work. Now they don't have any work. The whole country's in a state of anarchy. They were way ahead of everybody else. John Kerry would be very proud of the government of Sri Lanka. But people are hungry, they're starving. So the whole civil society has collapsed. What exactly are they going to replace fossil fuels with? You can talk about windmills all you want. You can talk about solar panels all you want. You can talk about electric vehicles all you want, and of course, ultimately they need fossil fuels to be built. What are you going to replace it with? Less than 10% of the energy we have comes from solar and wind, and that's on a good day. You got to have the sun, you got to have the wind. Ask Texas. They were blown out a year or so ago because they had neither. And they were way ahead of the curve, but the progress they were making on clean energy. This is a war on the industrial society. It's a war on capitalism. It's a war on the United States. It's a war on blue-collar, hardworking Americans that work the rigs, that work the coal mines, that drive the trucks, and on and on and on. They have no real blueprint for what they're going to do. They have plans for government, but they don't know how the private sector works. It doesn't work this way. It can't work this way. And so here we have, what is she, 12 years old? I don't even know how old she is. With a zero experience with anything, going on and on about not just energy. She's at war with the Supreme Court of the United States. If you don't agree with them, they try to destroy you. If you have an institution, they try and destroy that. So they're trying to destroy the Supreme Court. They're trying to destroy the Electoral College. They're trying to destroy the state voting systems. They are destroying the southern border and immigration. They've destroyed women's sports by destroying Title IX, an amendment to the 1965 Civil Rights Act. And that's what they're doing. And if you don't agree with them, you must be a right-wing white supremacist. Even if you're not white, it doesn't much matter. Ask those 3 Latina ladies who are running in Texas as Republicans who are now under attack by the New York Times and others. Go.
Delegitimize themselves.
What actions, would you like to see from your fellow lawmakers? Because the court's response to that might be, Alito specifically says, return this to the elected representatives of the people. He believes that that's where legitimacy, at least the issues of Roe, of abortion, should be returned to the people. What action would you like to see the Congress take?
I believe that President Biden should entertain expansion of the Supreme Court. I believe...
All right, so hold on a second. This court has conducted itself way outside its authority. So how should we fix it? Joe Biden should be a fascist. By executive order, he should expand the Supreme Court. This is what we're dealing with, a mushhead. It should be expanded. This is why I would pay $100,000. Hello, did you hear me? $100,000 to debate her for 1 hour. That's all. 1 hour. Would she do it? She seems to be money hungry. She says that her salary of like $200,000 a year isn't enough. And she keeps pushing for student loans to be paid off by you, the taxpayer, because her student loans are apparently very significant. She reminds me of Marx in a way. Marx, railed against capitalism and so forth, but his father, the lawyer, paid for a lot of his bills and his rent. And Marx also played the London equivalent of our stock market. So Marx was a complete fraud, always was. Nonetheless, go ahead. And of course, they have the clapping seals in the audience. We're going to expand the court. Yay! We're going to abort more babies. Yay! Wait. Yay! Go ahead.
He should forcefully come out in ending the filibuster of the United States Senate. I believe that he should call...
What kind of country have we turned into? You listening to this lecture? You listening to this lecture? We should eliminate the filibuster. We should expand the court. We should compel abortion all over the country. That's our civil right. Go ahead.
Congress to repeal the Hyde Amendment. And
repeal the Hyde Amendment. What's that? Oh, it doesn't matter. We have an applause sign. The Hyde Amendment, which was in place for decades, was an agreement between the parties that you, the American federal taxpayer, wouldn't have to fund abortions because there was at least some recognition that a significant percentage of the American people do not support it or do not support it at certain terms. She's saying eliminate it. We want abortion. We want it up to the last second. We want the taxpayer to pay for it. If you don't like it, we want to expand the Supreme Court. And they're not expanding the Supreme Court from their perspective because of good government reasons. So we can pack it with ideologues so we can never lose on any single issue, or we're attacking the Bill of Rights. Never, ever, ever. What else? Go.
I also believe that Congress, we have the possibility, when we are strengthened by the repeal of the filibuster, or even the change to a talking filibuster or a standing filibuster, in doing so, we can codify Roe, we can codify, and all of the other cases that the Supreme Court indicated that they would threaten. We can codify same-sex marriage. We can codify the right to contraception.
Hello. Apparently, she's illiterate, too. The court majority specifically said we're not addressing anything but this. Anything but this. You see, if Colbert wants to be a serious person, and he's not, he's got one of those Spock ears there. But if he wanted to be, he would say to her, let me ask you some tough questions. Is it a baby in the last week or is it not? Do you know what happens when there's partial birth abortion? What's your position on this? Do you think there should be any exceptions to abortion? None whatsoever? You know, the other question's always asked, what about rape and incest? And so that's not a hard one for me. In other words, I think the effect on the woman would be very, very severe. Maybe I'm inconsistent, but that's the way it is. But I am really talking about extraordinarily rare circumstances. I'm not talking about this sort of thing, which is completely and utterly out of control. And virtually every state has certain exceptions of that sort. So they don't really want to talk about the real world. They just want to keep talking about ideology, and that somehow the court is threatening contraceptives, the court's threatening interracial marriage. Court specifically said we're not in 3 places in the majority opinion. And they're even twisting what Clarence Thomas wrote in his concurring opinion. He didn't say that he believes those things should be outlawed by the Supreme Court. He said that the rationale of the Supreme Court, something called substantive due process, doesn't exist. It's not in the Constitution. And of course he's right, but he's not allowed to say it. And he went further to say perhaps there's some other way under the Constitution that we could look at this. He didn't say, I want to get rid of these things. And by the way, nobody joined his concurrence. So however you look at it, these are lies. Go ahead.
We can codify interracial marriage. We can do it.
All right, shut up, idiot.
Want to see more? Sign up for Levin TV.